House independence, financial control, and capacity to deliver meaningful developments. Joining us on the conversation to unpack this, he is a friend of the House. We are joined by Policy Development Analyst Otunba Muyiwa Ogunlaja. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, my dear. Good morning.
Morning. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Nice.
Okay, let's begin with the basis now. What does local government autonomy really, mean when you look at the Constitution of Nigeria?
Thank you. Local government autonomy really means that allowing the local governments to have direct control over their finances, over their political will, and over their administrative process without any intervention from either the federal or the state government. It means allowing people who have been duly elected to perform the duties without being cajoled into doing what they never wanted to do. Allowing the administration to initiate policies, to talk about programs to be implemented, to spend money as allocated, and to have access to this money without another person controlling it. So it means being on its own, that you are responsible for your activities and you take the credit, you take the blame. That's what it actually means.
You take the credit and you take the blame.
Yes.
I'd like us to differentiate between local government autonomy and local government financial autonomy. They are two different things, and some people might think they are the same. So I'd like you to differentiate between both.
All local governments in Nigeria, that is the 774 local governments in Nigeria, are autonomous. Let's say that one. They are autonomous because they are on their own.
That's administrative autonomy.
And yes, they have what we call secretariats. They have heads of the local government, could be chairman, could be administrator, which is wrong anyway, come to that. It could be secretaries. But local government financial autonomy is what we are clamoring for. And that is actually the outcome of the July 11, 2024 judgment of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, which says that all local governments in Nigeria must have their federal statutory allocations paid directly into their accounts without state governments intervention or dealing or any having to do anything with the funds. The judgment also barred state governments from freezing such accounts or from tampering with such accounts. It also prevented governors of states from that unconstitutional act of saying that this local government is disbandment of local government, and that he has appointed what they call sole administrators. And so with that one, we have what's called local government financial autonomy. Unfortunately, not all the local governments in Nigeria are financially autonomous. Aside from maybe in Lagos, to an extent, even in Lagos, it's to an extent. It's not 100% financial autonomy. It is to an extent, but much better than what it is in some other states, where they hardly have 10% financial autonomy, although they have 100% local government autonomy, because they are recognized, they have their secretariat, they have their own staff, and they are doing what they want to do.
And so if you still have some states who are not complying, I mean, this is a judicial pronouncement that has been made. How do you think this would also impede development?
There is no disputing the fact that non-compliance will impede development. In your intro, you have just told us that local government are the closest to the people. Though the third tier of government, but the closest to the people. And any government that gets the local government right has solved all the problems. That's the truth. Because you can build on that. Without getting local government right, you find it a bit difficult to build on what people are saying, doing. So I wonder why some local governments, some state governments are not aligned their local governments to breathe, quoting the words of the president. Especially when there is a judicial pronouncement from no other court other than the Supreme Court of Nigeria. There's no other court. That alone is a violation of Supreme Court judgment. And I think such state governments ought to have been appropriately brought to justice. But we know developments in Nigeria. So the question is that some state governments believe that until they have access to local government funds, they cannot really function. Or they don't want to really leave local governments alone totally, trying to dictate what and what should be done by these local governments. And that is impeding success. Impeding success in the sense that if you don't have money, local governments cannot plan ahead. Most local governments do what is called crisis management now, not the administrative management they should do. Crisis management in the sense that it's whatever they are given. That's okay, this is what we have. What do you do? Let's pay salary. Let's tie this through. Let's do, and that should be the end. But where they know that at the end of this month, they are going to collect also from the federation account, the statutory sum, it is known. Then they can plan ahead. They can embark on mid-term expenditure plan, knowing full well that this is the amount they are expecting. They can now think of what to do. They can bring people on board. Local government, they can bring local government people on board. They can bring CDCs on board. They can bring indigenous contractors on board. They can even allow for traditional rulers to have their say. Even commoners, common market men and women should have their say. So they can plan ahead and ensure that the local government is lifted. Because they know the amount they're expecting. But where you don't, it's like a civil servant. You know the salary you are going to get every month. You can plan ahead. You cannot plan beyond the resources you're going to have. But where you don't know how much you're going to be given, where you only collect after your employer has actually done a lot to your money, or where government does not say this is what you get at the end of the month, you can't plan ahead. You cannot promise your landlord that you are paying your rent at the end of the month. You cannot promise your children that school fees will be paid. You cannot even tell your wife that there will be housekeeping allowance. So they have to wait until the money is released. Same happens to local government. If they don't obey the law, if they don't do financial autonomy and allow them to have their money directly, progress will be impeded, nothing will happen, and there will be oohs and cries amongst the people.
Well, let's bring this down now to Lagos, because the topic is local government autonomy, the Lagos experience. Now, Lagos is often seen as a model, and so for you, how would you assess the level of autonomy in Lagos?
In all fairness, I think Lagos has always had financial autonomy to an extent. To an extent. Yes.
What do you mean?
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Even before the July 11th Supreme Court judgment, to an extent. After the July 11th Supreme Court judgment, it became important, expedient for government to allow local government finances to go directly to them, especially with all the judicial pronouncements that local government allocation must go directly to their accounts, that no governor should tamper with them, that no governor should freeze the account or suspend, and no local government should dissolve democratically elected officials and prevent them from performing their duties. And recently, the State Commissioner for Chieftaincy Affairs, Local Government, Chieftaincy Affairs, and Rural Development, I think Dr. Martins, am I right? I did say that the Nigerian Lagos governor or government has been doing this, and that they have not trampled upon the judgment, and money have been directly released. But as I said to an extent, to the extent that we can see development. All the streets in Lagos are being lit up. All drainages being desilted. Lawman doing his job. What should be done being done. But the question is, are they really allowing this local government to have their access to their accounts without tampering with it? The answer is no. No, because to the federal government, there are only 20 local government areas in Lagos State. And they make provision for disbursements of funds directly to the accounts of these 20 local government areas. But the state government, in its wisdom, ably supported by the State House of Assembly, so as to bring development nearer the people and ensure uniform development, decided to create additional 37 areas, hitherto known as local government council development areas. But after the pronouncement of the Supreme Court and after the 2025 bill of Lagos State House of Assembly, they are supposed to be known as local government administrative areas. So they're now seen as part of the 20 recognized local governments, but they are administrative areas under these local governments, which means the money meant for them will be taken from the direct allocations made to the constitutionally recognized 20 local government areas. They will now do the taking of the money, the state government, which means they are still tampering with it because they have to do the allocation, or else there will be hell will be let loose. There will be financial fight, financial squabble between the original local governments and those areas. So government is still doing that. Then there is still what is called joint local government account. That means government is still controlling it. Because if there is a joint local government account, what is it doing when such monies are meant to be directly paid to the accounts of these local governments, individual accounts? You also know that local governments are expected to submit to the state government what we call quarterly performance report, which is not their business. This performance report also be forwarded to the State House of Assembly that has what is called oversight functions, not the state government. Aside from that, they are meant to follow the state government format on accounting principles. Again, local governments are meant to be independent. They are meant to generate their own format and they be allowed to use their own format. But that's not the case. So I will not say totally, the example Lagos State is 100%, it's not 100%. Because there are some key areas that are still in the limbo and they have not been allowed, the local governments are not allowed to have this direct access. But in all, it's much better than what it is in some other states.
I'd like us to also look at the bright side, with the creation of the 37 LCDAs, in addition to the 20 local governments. Yeah. How has this strengthened development? How has it strengthened governance? How has it made it closer to the people that the people can now feel the impact of democracy?
If there is any decision taken by the state government, by this Lagos state government that has impacted the people, it is the creation of those 37 additional areas, local government development areas, now known as administrative areas. Development cannot get to the people unless they are close to development. Development cannot get to the people unless they are close to development. Imagine Agege local government. Mm-hmm. Look at how vast Agege is. Without Alimo, without Ifakojai, without there's another area, there's Ifakojai, I think there's another local government development area from Agege. Without those areas, Agege and Agege. Without those areas, how will development get to places like the Abacha side, like the Kikoto side, like other areas in the Ifako? So it will be so concentrated in Agege. Mm-hmm. So I think the creation of these areas have brought development very close to the people, to the extent that what is happening in the main local government area is also happening in those administrative areas. If you go to Agege, for instance, hardly you will find any inner road that has not been upgraded, that has not been tarred. Same to Surulere. Hardly you find almost all the areas in Lagos State, hardly will you find inner roads that have not been upgraded, that have not been tarred. And these are inner roads that are under the control or purview of local government areas. So I think it has brought development to them. Street lights here and there, almost all the local governments. You find waste management being excellently done. Lawman doing his best. And this first FSP, PSP too, they call it doing their job. So the days of turning Lagos to debris of debts are gone because hardly will find it. That's not to say that it is El Dorado yet. It's not. You still have some streets lined up with waste, bins.
Is this not a people problem? Is it a government problem?
It is the government problem.
Not the people problem?
Yes, it is. No, it is the government problem caused by the people.
Okay.
Government problem said that
if
government had provided what you call bins, there used to be a time when all these PSP bins will be stationed somewhere. You just drop your breads. Then at the end of the day, they will bring their truck to cart it away and go. But now they are saying that PSP should go to the nooks and crannies of the state. Agreed. But how many of them do that? How many times do they go to the nooks and crannies? So you now have, let's say you now have a naming ceremony or you have a party to do and you have generated so much waste. Have you to keep those waste in your room until they come for collection? Nobody will do that. And there are no bins outside as they used to be. That big bins that are being used, the body bin of all these PSP vehicles, will be somewhere. All you need to do is just go there and drop it in. And on a daily basis, they come to cart it away. So it is government problem because government has not provided that. It's caused by the people because they generate waste and they cannot keep the waste in their homes.
I know the conversation is not about waste management now, but again,
yes,
can't we take it as take it upon ourselves to get the bin? In my own house, we have drums outside. It is not the government that bought it for us.
I agree. By the time you now fill those drums up, and they come to cut away the drums once a week, what happens before they come? Especially where you have a lot of waste generated. What is not wasteful in Lagos? If you do gari, there will be waste. You want to save the gari, and the cocoa, instead of turning to other thing, you pour somewhere. If you buy moi, there is waste. You take the moi, you leave the leaves, pour somewhere. If you drink pure water, there is waste. The nylon, put it there. If you drink much water, there is waste. What is there? So the way we generate waste, especially when you have little babies, all these pampers, the way they are generated, you cannot flush pampers. You have to put them in hair. So you cannot wait until they come. By the time you now fill up the bins, maybe you have about 2 or 3 medium-sized drums, even big drums, and you have about 20 in the building. By the time you now fill up the bin, what are you saying? It will be there. It will overflow. And when they overflow, what happens?
But anyway, okay. So going back to our conversation on local government autonomy now, one of the things that as a concern is the issue of trust and accountability, because you have local government chairmen, you have councillors who represent various wards within a local government area, and the issue of trust and accountability is one that people have an issue with.
It is correct that trust, accountability has led to people becoming passive. Because in local government, it should be people-oriented. It should be community-based. It should be all of us coming together. But because people have seen the leadership, they have not trusted the leadership. They have not trusted the process. Because there is no accountability. It has weakened their resolve. And it has beclouded their sense of judgment. Weakened their resolve in the sense that under normal circumstances, when a budget allocations are received by local governments, they ought to be made public. You have received so amount, so date. Put it as news item, put it on the notice board. Let people know. And we tend to do so with the money. What are your plans for the money? Let people call it know. For these plans, this amount you intend to spend. By the time you finish spending, this is what be left. So people now carried along. But how many of these local governments do this? Do you hardly know when they receive allocations? You hardly know when they're going to spend the money. You hardly know what they have spent the money on. As a result, there is this trust problem. They don't trust them. Then, aside from that, there should be fiscal management. People want to know your budget. Most of these local governments do what's called financial statement at the beginning of the year. They make what you call speeches that are quite inciting, that will incite you, that make you feel that you are being governed, but they are just paperwork. Simple. Nothing is done thereafter. Then the people are not co-opted. Any local government administration that does not involve the people being part, the CDCs, the communities, the traditional rulers, those who matter in society, and those who are not, who they think do not matter, but they're calling people. You can call People's Congress, you can call community congress, tell them this, you have received this amount this year, this month, you are going to receive, what do you do for your area? Needs of local governments differ from place to place. Mm-hmm. But what should they do there? They will just generally agree that let us do this.
Not just to play the devil's advocate, not that I'm speaking on behalf of the local government, but I know that they do stakeholders consultative forum where they bring stakeholders, community leaders together and they, talk about it.
Who are the stakeholders? A stakeholder in a community that does not, that a stakeholders consultative forum in the community that does not recognize leaders of that community, landlords of that community, traditional rulers of that community, market women of that community, artisans of that community, representatives of the students of that community, representatives of the grassroots of the community, that will bring in consultants from Germany, discussant participants from West Europe, specialists from London, others and others come and do consultative meeting. What will those one gain? So consultative meeting must be people's based. It must be based on those you are talking about, not just high sounding names from other clients that cannot be implanted here. So until we do that, let it be really consultative meeting of people and let them have the opportunity to talk. Not that they should only go there and listen to rhetorics. Thereafter, give them a pack of rice, bottle of water, Coke, and then one loaf of bread stuffed with a one naira note. No. So allow them to talk. Allow them to say their mind. You should really moderate. Okay, we have this one this year or this month. Throughout the year, we're going to have times 12, all things being equal. Let us even assume we don't have up to this. No matter what, you should to get social amount. What do you do for our community with this money when they come on monthly basis? Suggestions will come. And suggestions will differ from local government to local government. Those in the Etios and Makoko will not talk about will not talk about other than the waterlogged areas. Those in Surulere will not talk about other than maintaining the streets and having light. Those in the Korodu will not talk about other than having agric lands, having schools where the children can attend. So when you have all this, then you are carrying them along. Development cannot become indigenized development to the needs of the people. Become peculiar development that will meet the people. I want to feel that yes, our government is there. We are doing what you want so that you are part of the development. And when you become part of the development, you want to save those emoluments. If you have come together to say, okay, you want a town hall. If that town hall is built, everybody wants to take care of that town hall. We want street lights. If the street lights are constructed, everyone wants to take care of that street lights because it is their conception, and they believe that they are part of it and nothing should happen to it.
Looking at it from another side, do the people know that they can hold these leaders accountable? Because again, I've heard cases of so you go to your chairman, be more, and you keep demanding from them. And so when you keep collecting, you won't have the right standing to, ask the right questions when the time is right.
Yes. Any organization that does not take into consideration its immediate social, political environment will die a natural death. So for chairmen, the local governments to start complaining that the residents are coming to meet them for frivolous matters is not part of it. There is what I call other functions. The other functions of this government to take care of the people. And when they come to meet you, it's because there are no other means for them, and nothing stops you from attending to them. That is not to now say that they cannot ask for their rights and that they should not ask for their rights. Have you actually have you informed them? Have you enlightened them that they can question you. Most of people are made to be there. They might have been made the chairman of local government. I am there for 2 years, for 4 years. My actions are irrevocable. Nobody can question me. They are giving those people that impression. As a result, what they now say most of the time is that let them as that their term will soon be over, forgetting that they can recall them. They can recall them, but they don't know the process. And it is this ignorance, this not knowing that these local government officials want, so that they cannot be questioned, so that they will remain there. So the point is that let these officials, let these local governments inform the people, enlighten them and the society that if you do this and this wrong, this and this can be done. It's just like the bosses of private schools. If you see most of these bosses at the back say, am I driving rough? If so, call this number. Let the local government chairman call and say, am I not performing? If so, recall me. This is how to recall me. If they know that they want to perform, let them do that. And let the people know how to go about that recall process. And some of them will have been recalled.
All right, moving forward now, you've raised a lot of salient points during the course of this conversation. But what specific reforms would you like to see in order to strike a balance when it has to do with local government autonomy in Lagos?
Yes, thank you. Lagos State is noted to be what I call the pathway, always pioneering new developments. So I think the government should go straight away to ensuring that allocations to states, to local governments, are paid directly into their accounts. And this is possible by pushing for the recognition of the 37 local government council development areas by the National Assembly, so that they become autonomous local government areas that will have their own autonomy and have direct allocation paid to their accounts. So nobody will now say that the state government is tampering with their money. That's number one. Number two, the state government must allow the local government to develop their own system in terms of administration, in terms of financial control and method, and in terms of discipline. What is applicable in the state might not be applicable in local governments. As a result, they should not make it compulsory that they must follow the state government format or financial template. The template they follow should be their own customized template, practicable and applicable to within an area because of their own peculiarity. That is important. Then, allowing the local governments to do what they consider best practices for their people. It is good that the entire streets, the entire Lagos should be lit. I agree, but there are some local government areas that you don't need the street lights. You don't need the street lights. Their needs are more than just street lights. Let their needs be peculiar to them. Then the idea of neighborhood watch is germane. It is good for all local government areas, but there are some areas that actually would demand the use of this neighborhood watch a lot, especially the rural areas of Ikorodu, Badagry, Epe. In Lagos, there is no neighborhood that you want to do anything for. Most of the neighborhood watch officers in Lagos are found at corners, where eating corners, drinking parlors, where they just play games, they play Ayu and Ludo, and after at the end of the day, they go back to their homes. So, I say that as wastage. But there are local governments that really need them. But because it's universal, just get them, they should be in Lagos, not minding the peculiar needs of the local government.
All right.
So that is important.
It's been an insightful conversation talking about local government autonomy, the Lagos experience, and of course we've talked about the realities, challenges, and opportunities surrounding local government autonomy, particularly within the Lagos context. Thank you so much, Otunba Muyiwa Ogunlaja, for sharing insights on this conversation. This is one that must keep going. It's not something that is just one-off. The conversation continues after. Stay with us.